lie there in that old...
Thrift Haul, and just look at all that stuff, some of which you have seen before. And I know, you thought I didn't buy those candlesticks, I tricked you, but I did. Well, we'll leave those for the end. We'll just go over here and talk about what's on the counter. By the way, everything that you see here is available right now for sale in the Old Curiosity Shop, my eBay store, and the link is below. Boy, I remember these as a kid growing up, in the nut dish that sat on top of the coffee table. Here's one in an original box, Quackenbush Nutcrackers. I don't think they've ever been used. There's the Nutcracker and the 6 picks. And this looks very early 1960s. Always good to have Nutcrackers on hand at Christmas time. And then dating to the late 20s, mid-20s to the early 30s is a dresser tray made out of celluloid, and it's made to look like mother of pearl, you can see. You see that? And then it's got black painted decoration on the side, and that's just a piece of paper on the inside. There's glass on the top and a little spline there that holds it in. Because that paper is in such good condition, I'd leave it. Someone could take it out, but I certainly wouldn't do that because it's original to the piece. But if perfume were to spill and get under that spline and ruin the paper could be taken out and something else put in. And of course, this would have sat on a woman's dresser and held her accoutrement for doing her nails and perfume and all that other stuff. There's the back of it. And the back of it's got a little bit of damage. Oh, there's a name right there I didn't see. And it says, well, I'll have to look at that later because right now I can't see it. But there's a crack in the back, which does, I think, show up through the front, but not that bad. Not that badly. In fact, that crack doesn't show in the front. That crack is only on the back. And then there's some chipping on the back edge, and you don't really see that from the top or the front either. So the little damage on the back isn't really seen on the top or the front. But that's really nice if you like the Art Deco era in the 1920s. Here's another one of these glass ink wells, and you put your pens here and the nibs down in here and whatever else you want. This probably dates to about I don't know, 1910, 1915, 1920. It's a very heavy piece of glass in beautiful condition. If you happen to be a collector of pens and antique writing equipment. And this is made by Paragon, patent applied for Frank A. Weeks Manufacturing Company. So number 475 Paragon, maybe that's just the model. And there aren't any chips or cracks on this. A little tiny bit of roughness around one of the edges, but it's not cracked. Probably from the 1930s or 40s when Scotties were so popular, and we all know why. We've talked about it so many times. Here's a wonderful little box, which is made in Japan. It does say Japan under there. Tiny little box, which could be used for all kinds of things, and it is lined in wood. So you could keep your false eye, false teeth, or your jewels in that. You Scotty dog collectors. For the equestrian in the family, here's a piece of English pewter. I guess this looks like a riding boot. And it does say, hold on just a moment, folks. Okay, it does have the maker's name on the bottom. I'll let you see that. I think it says authentic, no, fine English pewter, Sheffield, England pewter, I think is what it says under there. So that could be, you could do all kinds of stuff with that. Pen holder, toothpick holder, toothbrush holder. Let's refocus. And while we're right here looking at all this glass, I've always wanted to talk about the difference between Vaseline glass and uranium glass. It seems as though, probably because of a lot of cut and paste on the auction sites, today almost everyone uses Vaseline glass as synonymous to uranium glass. But I learned many years ago, and you know, if you talk to those old-time Vaseline glass collectors, this is true Vaseline glass right here, and not this. Yes, they all have uranium in them, so they'll fluoresce under a black light, but Vaseline glass is typically considered glass that has more of a yellowish tint, and it can have a yellowish greenish tint, but certainly not this pure green, which is really just uranium glass. And you know, that's not an opinion, but that's pretty much the way it's been for the collectors for years and years and years. And it's interesting if you do a lot of reading, especially, I don't know how active the Vaseline Glass Collectors Club is today, but there's still a lot of talk about green glass is not Vaseline, you know, if you really want to stick to the real definition. So, but even with this glass, you'll see a slight difference. This is a little greener, I think, but it might all look the same to you. Here's a hat. Obviously, an owl, and there's no damage on any of the, even the ears and the little tips down here of the feathers. There's no chips on this. And then the condiment dish. These right here, so popular in the 1930s. Farberware is usually who makes the metal bases, but not always. I think two of these are Farberware, and I'm not sure who the other is. Many glass companies made the inserts. And what do you usually find when you go thrifting? You usually find that sitting all by itself. I'll find, for every 10 of these, I'll find 9 that are missing their carrier. Their little, the chrome carrier. Carrier isn't the word, I'm not thinking straight. But anyway, so they do come out. This one comes out as well, as you can see there. And then this one is a lot fancier. And this one is in pink. And what I've done actually is, just for the fun of it, I grouped all 3 of these together in one auction. I just listed all 3 of them together, and I'm hoping that maybe someone who is, not necessarily a collector of these might be interested in just buying all 3. At least that's how I've decided to sell these together in a collection. So I'm also going to pause here for a moment and show you a beautiful collection of Vaseline glass that I filmed recently in an antique store. Let's take a look at that now. Okay, so you had a chance to see this yellowish and sometimes yellowish greenish Vaseline glass, but yes, it does all have uranium in it, and I'm not going to turn on a black light to get it to glow. I think, well, for one thing, it's too bright and sunny in here right now. Hi everyone, and no, this is not a Halloween video, although I know the lighting is really weird. But I just wanted to pop on really quick and say hello, hello, hello. Behind me are a bunch of boxes and things that I'm working on for shipping. I'm really here just to talk a little bit more about about Vaseline glass. So let me shrink myself, and I want to take you to the Vaseline Glass Collectors webpage. They're actually much more active than I thought, than I had remembered, so I needed to go back and look again. But if you're interested in learning more about Vaseline glass, this is vaselineglass.org, which you can go to. But I simply want to highlight, the reason why I came to this is there's so much information, and I'd like you to go and take a look if you're interested. So I won't talk Victorian era Vaseline glass and what Vaseline glass means in England and Europe, because there are some different definitions, but just the difference between the green and the yellow. You'll see here that I highlighted, and I'm just going to read this one sentence to you. There are different definitions of what is not Vaseline glass, and it depends a lot on what part of the world you're located in, but simply put, Vaseline glass is uranium glass, which is yellow, as opposed to other glass of various shades of green and so forth. So I wanted to show you that, to document that for you. And then one more thing I want to read to you right here where it says definitions can be confusing. And it says, members of the VGCI, that's the Vaseline Glass Collectors International, consider Vaseline glass to be yellow or yellow-green. So the pure green depression glass that we see all the time with uranium in it is not really considered, it's uranium glass and very common and not really considered true Vaseline glass by the good old-fashioned diehard collectors. Okay, boy, this lighting is really bad, so let's get out of here. Back to the video. Okay, and then back here is a wonderful old South Jersey piece of glass. This is called Old South Jersey glass, and this piece was the makers of this glass right here. They fooled many an antique expert because the Clevenger brothers of, I think it's Clayton, New Jersey, if I remember correctly, which is a town in South Jersey. They made this glass, the Clevenger brothers, in the 1930s and 40s. And this particular picture is called Lily Pad, and it has it's all blown, but they were so good at what they did. They were making glass that mimics 18th century 18th century glass, but this is definitely made in the 1940s. And this piece is all original. That is a surface bubble that burst, so that's not considered damage because it was there during manufacture, but some collectors are picky and wouldn't want that, but that happened when it was made. And the handle is applied, as you can see. And this is all of this is blown by hand and then broken off with a rough ponsil on the bottom. So this glass used to have, well, like everything else, used to have a much higher value. Right now, someone has put in an opening bid on it, and it will probably sell to someone who's really interested in, who collects Clevenger Brothers or Old South Jersey glass. But anyway, made in the 40s, not the 1940s, not the 1700s, not during the colonial days. Okay, and that came from a South Jersey estate. And then those are the lead glass crystal candlesticks that they all date from probably 1910 to 1930, somewhere in there. And they've been left in the sun, so they are turning purple. Now, this was someone's collection that I purchased all 5 of these together. And what's nice about them is that they're all turning purple at about the same rate, or lavender, however you want to say it. But these would have been absolutely clear crystal when they were new. No 2 of these candlesticks, by the way, are the same. Let me stand back up. And it's kind of difficult on this counter to really see the purple color. You might be able to see better if you look at the old video when I thrifted them, or also the auction photographs are there for you to see. But this is the only one that is etched. This one has a little this one has a little chip right there on the side of it that you can see. I'm not too worried about that. And then another one of them has a little chip at the base. I think it's this one. No, I'm not. It's this one. There we go. There's a, not so little, but you can see it's on the underside and it doesn't really show. But I think what's beautiful about these is the collection of, when you put all of them together. One candlestick is nice, but it's the collection of the 5 of them together in this beautiful lavender color. And hey, put them back in the sun and they're just going to continue to deepen and deepen in their lavender color. Okay? So, now this you haven't seen. Now, I almost got detached retina. This came from a Goodwill store. And boy, oh boy, when I saw it, this is a beautiful piece of 1930s art glass made by the Phoenix Glass Company of Pennsylvania. And this is called their sculptured artware, and it's in a very high relief with this matte finish, and it is just beautiful. I can't remember the name of the designer to tell you at the moment, but look at how thick, look at the relief on this. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful blue. And this came in many different colors. If this were green, I wouldn't be selling it. You know I love 1930s green. But I have decided to sell this 1930s vase. And it's heavy. And it's in beautiful condition. It's all glass. And it's wonderful to have. And of course it's upside down. It is wonderful to have an original sticker. Now, foil sticker. So I'll let you see that. And a funny story, when I saw the vase, I went, ah! And I ran over to it. And of course the Goodwill sticker was covering up the foil sticker underneath. I knew this was a good piece, but I must be honest, I did not know that it was a Phoenix vase. I purchased it, and when I brought it home and pulled off the sticker, lo and behold, most of the original foil sticker came off, was pulled off. So I very carefully picked at it and reconstructed it and glued it back on the bottom as best I could to preserve it. But you can see it's sculptured artware by the Phoenix Glass Company, and it's a very heavy, I think, beautiful example of 1930s art glass. And this is damage free. Now this was blown in a mold, and what I'd like you to see is they were very clever with the mold, because I want to show you the mold lines. Okay, there's one. Let me see if I can find another one that's. They didn't really want. Okay, so the mold lines wouldn't be obvious. I think you can see right here. Now these are not. This is not a crack. Notice how the mold line runs along the contour of this flower and then it curves out this way. Do you see? There you go. This is you know, a two-part mold, right? The glass is blown into the mold, and this, when the mold is pulled apart, this little seam or little mold line is what's left, and it circles its way all the way down, and it tries for the most part to follow the contour of the flowers so that it's not an obvious mold line, but it camouflages itself. And of course, there'll be a mold line on the other side of it as well, which we can see a hint of it there. It runs along this blade of glass right here, flower right here, sort of hides itself. That's all part of the production. And of course it's important to study and to understand what is damage and what isn't. And you're looking there and you're saying, oh, look at that big crack. It's not a crack. Right here. This is one of the signs of of inclusions, and not necessary, but not considered imperfections, because it's not really damage that happened to the glass after it was made. It was part of the production. Anyway, I like that vase a lot. You guys like it? What do you think of that? Excuse me, a little different here. Not a reproduction, but an original. Tidy nap spring-loaded napkin holder, and we can see all the patent numbers and the other information is there on the inside. Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is the real thing, and it does open up. You can still get the napkins for it. It's spring-loaded, and again, so this is not a modern reproduction, but one that would date again from probably the 1960s. It's very heavy, so if you have a sort of 1950s, 60s diner interior, go for it. Here's a coffee grinder, and I'll first show you how it would look hung on the wall, and then I'll talk about it for a minute. It dates to about, 1920, and this is made for home use. You're all holding your breath, I know, so am I. I'm trying to do this with one hand. What's wonderful is, this is called the Arcade coffee grinder. This is crystal number 4. It's got the original lid, which also has the name Arcade on the top, which you can see right there. The lid comes off, the jar is threaded, and it also comes off so that you can clean it. And then there are bolts on the holes on the back where this would be bolted to a board and then to the wall, or just to your kitchen wall. So it hangs on the wall like that. Turn the crank, the coffee comes out of the bottom. Now I'm going to set this down, turn the camera off, and come right back. Okay, because what I wanted to show you is that the glass container for the coffee comes off. It's threaded, and then this can be washed. This is all original. And we can see here that the business end of the thing is right there. Try to get some light on it. You can see down in there. Okay, some old coffee is in there. You turn the crank, and this is still working perfectly. We'll see the information on the back. Made in Freeport, Illinois. And you can see where it hooks to the wall. Now, is there something missing? There is. This is just the top of the thing. I'm going to insert a photograph now which shows you that the bottom is gone. Can it still be used? Well, you can still bolt this to the wall and use it, and just, hold a cup underneath for your coffee grounds to fall into. But you could also do some searching and find the replacement spring-loaded metal front piece that goes on the bottom that actually holds the glass jar to catch the coffee. So we are missing a little bit here, but what we do have is the top portion of it in really good shape. That you've seen before, and I've talked before about this. This dates to the very late 1940s. It's a video preamplifier it's a early piece of television equipment. And I found that last summer did a lot of research on it, and I've been holding on to it because I wanted to take it apart and fiddle with it and study it and try to look at the schematics and schematics. And anyway, I had some fun pulling it apart and just studying it and learning about it. And this is going to appeal to a early television collector. And then something that I think is really charming, and you've seen this before, but I'm going to go ahead and try to sell it, is a homemade, well, okay. What I need to do is find a better way, and I think I'm going to be working on, in the new year, getting some way to mount my camera. Each year I set goals for myself. Hey, listen, I'm doing pretty good with the, remember my goal was I'm going to try to list everything before I do the thrift hauls, and I've pretty much stuck to that. So most of the time when you see an item, it's already good to go and ready for sale. You don't have to wait. So next is to get something better to hold the camera. This is homemade. It probably dates to about 1928, 29, 30, 31. Late 20s, early Depression. It's all made of tin, and it's a depot. I love it. He's missing his wheelbarrow or his luggage cart, which he would be pushing. That can be replaced. The people were manufactured by a company and are not homemade, but the building is homemade itself. And she's looking very circa 1929. Okay. And so if you wanted to set up a little Christmas scene with the train depot, there's lots of things you could do with this as far as decorating. But I just think it's very quaint. I guess we could call it really folk art, if you will. All soldered together, made of tin, and so it'll light up, and the only marking on it is back here. It says the boys. So one wonders what that means. Perhaps a father made this for his sons. Who knows? I do not need another piece of model train equipment because I've got enough of it that belonged to my father and grandfather, and I'm going to be digging that out of the storage space upstairs and getting the electric trains set up for Christmas time real soon. But that, I think, is charming. All right, backing up, there it is, and it's all listed in the Old Curiosity Shop. Again, the link is below. I didn't get a chance to say I hope that everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching, and so long for now.